What's up, Raspbernites? 25 Days of Christmas, day 23, and today was originally going to be one of the iconic classics of Christmas that a lot of people would expect a review on. Like, with 3 days left, I'm sure you would have expected this to be one of the films that I would talk about, but I thought about it some, and I don't exactly have the fondness for the film that I should have. So I decided that coupled with the fact that I looked and there's a gajillion reviews on this particular film, so I decided to skip over A Christmas Story. So if you're trying to keep track of what iconic films were left that I didn't review, I'm skipping over A Christmas Story because it's not really one of my all-time favorites. So if you're trying to guess along, you probably can guess what Christmas Eve and Christmas are going to be. So today, as you can see by the title, we are instead going to be discussing one of my all-time favorites from childhood and a film I hadn't seen in about 10 years until today. I just so happened to luck in to seeing it on cable last night, scheduled for around 11 p.m. So I set it to DVR. And it's funny because I was talking to my friend Bob about it yesterday, about how I was going to try and fit it into the countdown, but had ran out of days. Well, I decided to fit it in anyway because the fact that I got to see it for the first time in about 10 years, since it's never on television anymore, to me was just a sign that I needed to review it. And it's Jim Varney, starring as Ernest P. Worrell in Ernest Saves Christmas. This one tells the story of Ernest P. Worrell, who starts the film as a cab driver. And of all people that he could pick up in his cab after trying to get a person to the airport and accidentally killing them, and then, lugging the dead body into the baggage claim and all that, like not knowing what's going on, or being typical Ernest and being oblivious to what's going on, because that was part of the great comedy of the character, is that he had no idea what a stupid country bumpkin that he actually is, and that people don't act that way. So, anyway, of all people that he could end up with in his cab, he ends up with Santa. And Santa is in Orlando to find a replacement. Because in this mythology, the magic of Santa dies over time, and Santa must pass the torch on to someone who can handle the job. So Santa has come to Orlando in search of a former children's television host named Joe Carruthers. And the movie tells the story of Santa trying to convince Joe of his true identity, and then Ernest, of course, figures out who he is and absolutely loves it because, as he says in the beginning of the film, I'm at one with the Yuletide, you know what I mean? And over the course of the film, they also run into a girl who is first seen dining and dashing by the name of Pamela Trenton, who disguises herself under the surname of Harmony Starr. And it turns out that this girl has just run away from home because she felt like her parents didn't want her anymore because her mom and dad got a divorce and they were too wrapped up in their own divorce to pay attention to her. So it actually is a really hefty story with a great meaning about how not anybody can be Santa. Santa needs to have character. Santa needs to care about kids. Santa needs not to cuss in front of kids. Santa needs to have manners. And about how the true spirit of Christmas isn't about seeing, it's about believing. Almost to borrow a line from another Christmas film, The Santa Claus. Seeing, it's believing isn't seeing. or seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. Sorry, it took me a minute to figure out which way the line went. But it is just a tremendous film with a great story, fits perfectly in Christmas lore, but it also has the over the top humor of Jim Varney as Ernest, and he does so many crazy things, like disguises himself as an old woman, he disguises himself as a snake carrier, he disguises himself as a government employee to break Santa out of jail. It's just so funny. And then I forget the names of the two side characters because, as I said, this was the first time I had seen the film in about 10 years, and pretty much the same way for all of the Ernest universe. But since Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Jail, and Ernest Goes to Camp are available from Mill Creek on Blu ray, I'm eventually going to try and pick those up because I do love the character a lot. But the side character Bobby actually figures out that it's elves, and the other side character argues that it's Helper Elms, and the reindeer do really funny stuff like break through the crate and their eyes start like crazy, and yeah, it's just a really really funny film. Oh, and then there's a part where there Ernest is trying to get the sleigh to Santa and Joe to do Christmas Eve, and he's got the elves in a U-Haul and runs over spikes and flattens the U-Haul's tires, so Ernest ends up driving the sleigh, and a bunch of crazy things happen, and during the course of that, air traffic control is getting ready to shoot down the sleigh, because they have no idea what's going on, so Ernest goes to fly under the radar and ends up going sleigh first into a billboard. It's just really, really funny. So, if you've never seen the character of Ernest P. Worrell, I highly recommend starting with this film, having a good Christmas laugh, and then checking out the other characters because I really miss Jim Varney. He was a tremendous comedian, and most people know him from his role in the Toy Story films as Slinky the dog. But to me, he will always be Ernest P. Worrell. You know what I mean, Vern? So I hope you enjoyed this review. And as always, leave me any of your thoughts and memories. Oh, I gotta talk about thoughts and memories. I almost forgot myself. First time I ever saw this film was actually when it came out in 1988. I didn't see it when it was in the main cinema. I saw it in an old dollar cinema that used to be in town because it was one of my Uncle Woody's favorite characters too, and we just laughed our butts off. And I tried to watch it every year since, but like I said, I haven't seen it on television in many, many years. So I hope Mill Creek releases Ernest Saves Christmas as well, because I would definitely pick that up. So leave me any thoughts and memories that you have about Ernest Saves Christmas, either through comments or through the form of a video response. Don't forget to check out Handi Enterprises Inc, your productivity and communication specialist, the official sponsors of this program and channel. All company contact information is down below in the description box. And this is reality according to the Razman, and Razman style is not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.